this movie very important for me is that we don't have a lot of action movies with a female badass hero, let alone a woman of color.
You know I've had to work twice as hard to get here. Why do you need to make it harder?
Prime Minister Everett won't have your back at the G20. He's never liked strong women.
Ladies,
I'd rather go and be led by you than stay and be annoyed by him.
I wanted to look like I actually could take down someone.
She's kind of a badass, huh?
Right.
Nerdrotic.com.
Greetings, you over 1 million hellions and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Let's talk about the magic of cinema. Its profoundness lies in its unparalleled ability to weave together art, emotion, and human experience, creating a shared dreamscape that transcends time and culture. It captures the raw essence of life, love, loss, triumph, and struggle through a symphony of visual, sound, and storytelling, inviting audiences to see the world through another's eyes. A single frame can evoke laughter, tears, or introspection, while a masterful film can shift perspectives, challenge beliefs, or ignite revolution. By blending imagination with reality, cinema holds a mirror to humanity's soul, revealing both its shadows and its light, and in doing so, becomes a timeless vessel for truth, empathy, and wonder. And that's everything Amazon's G20 starring Viola Davis isn't. You know, dear friends, some movies are more difficult to review than others. The easiest are the really good or bad ones. The hardest are the mediocre ones. That won't be a problem in this case, because Amazon's G20 is both hilariously awful and awfully hilarious. And if there's still a couple of people hanging on out there wondering why Amazon studio head Jennifer Salke got fired, don't. Because following Netflix's release of Daisy Ridley's The Cleaner, which is essentially female Die Hard, Amazon decided to follow up with one of their own. That's right, 2 DEI hards in 2 months. Yes, it's part Die Hard, part Air Force One, part globalist propaganda, and all feminist power fantasy fanfic. Don't believe me? This comes from the paragon of objective journalism, The Daily Beast. G20 Viola Davis plays Kamala Harris, I disagree there, in a Die Hard movie, where the reviewer says it's a wish fulfillment saga for a post-2024 present that didn't come to pass. It's a fantasy of feminist and US might that's chock-a-block with implausibilities. When I'm agreeing with the Daily Beast, it's confirmation that we are living in strange times. And to head you all off at the past, no, Viola Davis isn't playing a stand-in for Kamala Harris. G20 went into production in January of 2024, well before Kamala was installed as a candidate, and it's from an original script that was obviously changed, written in 2015.
The script came to me in 2015 and I was like, I'm taking it.
Simply put, it's Michelle Obama versus the anti-globalist crypto bro terrorists, set to the backdrop of a Wakanda-like South Africa.
Diplomatic community.
That feels like it was written by Klaus Schwab, Greta Thunberg, and Mark Ruffalo, and it has so many panning establishing shots, I thought this was directed by Spotswood from Team America. If Amazon's creators had leaned into the parody that G20 unintentionally became, it would have been a better film, but I'm still happy with what we got. Because whether Amazon likes it or not, so far, this is the #1 comedy of the year.
Come on, Madam President.
Oh, damn. Now I gotta go save the world.
The 20 most powerful world leaders together. Going dark in 3, 2, 1.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
As far as stories go, it's pretty typical stuff for these days. A 5'5" strong female protagonist approaching her 60s regularly mows her way through 250-pound white guys. Viola Davis in her follow-up role to The Woman King, where she played a leader of a tribe who totally didn't sell her own people to slavery, plays President Michelle Obama. Anthony Anderson plays her wife Barack Obama. They have only 2 children, but only one that counts, the rebellious tech-savvy daughter, because that's the first time we've seen that this week. After the misunderstood rebellious tech-savvy daughter that we've never seen before in any TV show or film escapes security once again and gets caught drinking, causing an incident in the press, she is forced with her unimportant sibling, who's obviously a boy, to go with her parents to the G20 summit in South Africa.
Diplomatic community.
where President Michelle Obama, oh, excuse me, one moment. Yes, Garrett?
Her name is Sutton in the movie.
Oh.
Yeah, not Obama.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Can I get a rate?
Where President Michelle Obama must sell her idea to the G20 leaders of fixing global hunger by providing digital currency to poor farmers in Africa. Well, I guess they won't have to spend any money on the poor South African farmers who are currently having their property stolen right after they're shuffled off this mortal coil. At the G20 summit in Cape Town, South Africa, Homelander, who earlier in the film killed a young woman for his super-duper crypto wallet, infiltrates a private security team who is set to protect the event. He kills most of the other nation's security, including a U.S. Special Forces assault team that was
Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, and we'll get to that. Then Homelander takes down the Wi-Fi, locks down the hotel, and takes the remaining leaders and their families hostage. But the president, a quick-thinking Secret Service agent, a misogynist UK prime minister, and a couple of women whose names I can't be bothered to remember slip away. And the game is afoot as President Michelle Obama must save her wife Barry and their 2 children, of which only one matters, and the world from Homelander and his anti-globalist crypto bros, weaving through an implausible stakes game of dumb cat and dumber mouse. And the only thing more unintentionally hilarious than the actual plot are the characters. And we'll start with the only good one, Ramon Rodriguez as Manny, the dutiful Secret Service agent assigned to protect President Michelle Obama, who thematically is just a stand-in for your average Hollywood personal assistant, except this time he's straight and he has some pretty good scenes. Then there's Vice President Phil Coulson, who's relegated to reacting to things on screens, and early on my money was on this white male to be the one who betrays the Madam President. But it turns out that would be wrong. This brings us to Treasury Secretary Hillary Clinton. And I can hear you now, that's just too ridiculous to be true. Well, it's ridiculous and true. The Treasury Secretary, who's totally not Hillary Clinton and totally not going to be the betrayer, was in line to be the president until Michelle Obama beat her out for the gig. But my personal favorite character, and the only one quite frankly that goes on a character arc, is UK Prime Minister Misogynist, who I'm guessing is a stand-in for David Cameron. He goes on the male feminist journey, starting out as an obnoxious man who doesn't respect women to a man who respects women after witnessing through the magic of Hollywood the 5'5" approaching 60 Viola Davis kick the crap out of a 250-pound dude in his 30s. The rest of the cast is rounded out by a diverse female character whose name I can't be bothered to remember. Number 1, whose female empowerment scene is taking off her high heels and driving a car. And there's diverse female character whose name I can't be bothered to remember. Number 2, who in actuality is Asian First Lady, and I gotta give her credit. She actually loved her husband, and her female empowerment scene was avenging his death by stabbing Homelander in the neck. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Dora Milaje South African Secret Service. Oh, you think that's a bit on the nose? Well, I do too.
Holy shit. You're from Wakanda.
They were placed amongst the staff of the totally trustworthy South African government to help protect the Madam President. They were initially taken hostage, but later freed by Viola Davis when she beat the shit out of the big bad guy with a pan in a kitchen. That's symbolism.
Message!
I guess we can mention the son, but he's so unimportant that when President Michelle Obama thought she was walking off to her death, she only wrote a note to her daughter. But credit where credit is due. At least this family had a father. But Barry was a good, obedient first husband and a damn fine manzel in distress. Now for the big hitters, and we'll start with Anthony Starr as Homelander, a toxic white male, bitter veteran, crypto enthusiast, and live streamer. And a pretty good one at that. I mean, look at those views. I mean, no word if he's monetized or not, but he could always dual stream on Rumble. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just a little bit. He is the head of the organization known as Awake and also the owner of the Awake official YouTube channel. You know, I wonder if his partner manager told him to try YouTube Shorts. But as far as diversity goes, I gotta give it to Homelander. He did the best job. He has every different type of bad white guy on his team. And yes, he did live stream the details of his big plan right after an ad read from BetterHelp. Hi, we're the bad guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. And what's his big plan? Well, of course, it's to crash the global market by using the power of disinformation through instant deepfakes to fool the world and convince everyone that in truth, President Michelle Obama and the G20 leaders don't want to help poor African farmers, but actually want to line their pockets and replace everyone's currency with a regulated digital currency that they would control. Now that's ridiculous, of course. The globalists would never do anything like that. In all seriousness, the writers probably knew they wrote themselves into a corner with this one, so they had to add the caveat of him murdering a bunch of people and then stealing the money for himself to make him an actual bad guy.
He's out of line, but he's right.
At this point, I think a disclaimer is necessary. The G20 organization is for the greater good. They really care about us.
We know we're under attack! We know it! We're breaking the conditioning!
But we all know Homelander doesn't stand a chance because he's up against two strong females, including misunderstood tech-savvy teenage daughter, who could do stuff like instantly connecting her laptop to radar dishes and antennas.
I can pull components from the TV satellites and maybe we can hook up a remote network. Now, if this old school antenna allows me to connect to that old satellite dish, I should be able to send an outgoing message.
And hack government computers with her Hollywood misunderstood rebellious teenager hacking skills. And quite frankly, in this modern age, you think that would be enough to defeat Homelander, but they piled on the poor sucker with this streaming content star Viola Davis, who could not only bring home the bacon, she can fry it up in a pan, then beat you over the head with it. And she'll make you wish you never were a man. Her portrayal as Madam President, along with the rest of this film, hits all the modern feminist bullet points. A female leader who had to work twice as hard to get there, who's not respected.
You know I've had to work twice as hard to get here. Why do you need to make it harder?
Minister Everett won't have your back at the G20. He's never liked strong women.
Which is strange because later on in this movie, despite being touted as a combat veteran, she admits that she really wasn't, and the only reason she's president is because of a well-timed photo op.
You carried a child from a blown-up building and someone snapped a photo, and now you're Captain America?
I didn't see much combat. But when I finally did, I was so scared. I ran. I just ran.
Complaining about the patriarchal enforcement of high heels.
What if we get you into a comfortable pair of heels so you can tower over everyone?
Do you want an honest answer?
Wait a minute. These shoes.
My stylist tried to put me in a pair of those. Had to veto it.
I'm not as tall and as confident as you.
In other news, here's a picture of Viola Davis in high heels. She manages to beat the Secret Service agent assigned to protect her, who is also her martial arts instructor. And again, this 55-year-old woman approaching her 60s beats the crap out of guys in elevators, beats the crap out of guys in kitchens, and takes out this dude one-on-one. And generally becoming a one-woman killing machine as she cuts through 250-pound dudes like butter. And after Madam President Michelle Obama susses out that Treasury Secretary totally not Hillary Clinton is the one who betrayed her, after she picked up the super-duper crypto wallet that Homelander dropped because an inside man can be a woman too, it's time for the final battle on the top of a building as a helicopter takes off, because we've never seen that before. And it's at this point we get the single greatest line of dialogue in cinema history.
You want change? You start with yourself, not with the crypto wallet.
With that poignant writing and passionate delivery, it's hard to argue with the director of G20, who said this film will change culture. But the toxic white male should have listened, because now he's gonna face the consequences. The Abominator thrusts into action and takes on the Homelander in a helicopter. Let's just cut to the chase because we all know what's gonna happen. After Michael, damn it, I almost made it through the whole damn video. Michelle and Homelander clash in the helicopter. It seems like they both fall out, but Homelander falls to his death. But the 55-year-old woman approaching her 60s shows an impressive amount of upper body strength by hanging on to the helicopter and then lifting herself up to safety, and good thing it's being live streamed. The family is safe, including the unimportant son and Barry. They get a round of applause, and the globalists save the day. And the G20 resolution to develop a regulated digital currency to help poor African farmers passes in Cape Town, South Africa.
You gotta be f***ing kidding.
Now, far be it from me to question this culture-changing masterpiece, but I still have some queries. How does an elite Special Forces strike force tasked with protecting the president all get put in the same room in a hotel? How does an elite Special Forces strike force tasked to protect the president miss a bomb under a table in their own room? This is so dumb they actually acknowledge it a little later in the film, but don't acknowledge that it was dumb.
If I was taking down this party, that cat team would be my primary target.
Yeah, probably should have mentioned that.
And despite the fact that they were in an armored limo that have their limits, how in the hell did UK Prime Minister misogynist and diverse female whose name I can't be bothered to remember, number one, survive being hit by 3 missiles and propelled over a blockade? You know, the Homelander's Awake organization had a pretty big team with a specific set of skills and a lot of resources. How in the hell did he pay for all this? With super chats and memberships? What the hell is he, the anti-globalist Mr. Beast? And who in the hell thought it was a good idea to make a bad guy a crypto enthusiast? The only people who understand cryptocurrency less than me is Hollywood. How in the hell did a handful of guys pull up a helicopter that was falling from a building? And the two biggest questions are, how much USAID money went in to fund this globalist propaganda? And how in the hell did no women die in this movie?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
I sit corrected. One woman did meet her demise in this movie, and she was black. So comparing that with your average OnlyFans thoughts body count of dudes that were slayed, that probably evens things out in Hollywood standards. But I do have to add points to it for this one thing. Treasury Secretary totally not Hillary Clinton got locked up. But it is hilarious that RogerEbert.com in their positive G20 review called the film out for its on-the-nose feminism and having too many bad white guys. The film contends with misogynoir, which is misogyny towards black women. Why does there need to be a different word? Don't know. With the subtlety of a sledgehammer. White colleagues often question Sutton's leadership. Everett, for instance, frequently chastises Sutton for being too aggressive and openly decries needing to follow her. It's also telling that in a movie set in Cape Town, the former epicenter of apartheid, all the mercenaries are white, while everyone who helps Sutton is a person of color. Amazon's G20 set out once again to change culture by exploring contemporary fears like AI, deepfake, cryptocurrency, the shakiness of the global economy, and toxic masculinity. What they ended up with was globalist propaganda wrapped up in feminist power fantasy fanfic, and the best unintentional comedy of the year so far. And maybe that's why the comedy film is dead, because Hollywood has become a parody of itself.
Nerdrotic.com.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.